Hi everyone, I'm Hallie with Southern Unique Jewelry Company, and today I'm going to do a tutorial on how to make a sheet music wire wrapped keychain. You could totally use it for anything. You don't have to do a keychain. You could make earrings, you could make a necklace, you could make a bracelet, you could, not put it on a loop like we'll be doing today. You could take it off that loop and just continue the weave on forever and ever. Amen. You could turn your favorite song into a piece. It's totally up to you and what you want to make with your own creativity. I came up with this design and I have received so much wonderful feedback for it. People absolutely love it, and I'm totally interested in seeing what you guys are able to create and make with this wire weave technique. So I guess without further ado, let's get started. All right, before we start, I'm going to go ahead and list off all of the tools that you're going to need in order to make this project. The first thing you will need is a pair of round nose pliers. You can use bent nose chainmail pliers. That is optional. You do not have to have those for this project. I would recommend a regular pair of chain nose pliers. Just like with the bent nose pliers, same thing applies with the nylon tipped pliers. You don't absolutely need them, but they are helpful. We're definitely going to need some flush cutters. Make sure that they are flush cutters. It will make a difference. Mandrel, but for this we're going to just use Renaissance wax, just for the round edge. You will need a chasing hammer. 100% not necessary for this project. It just helps with the finishing touches, and along with that you're going to need your bench block. The kind of wires that we're going to use, I have 16 gauge dead soft round copper wire, 20 gauge square copper wire, 26 gauge copper wire. Alright, so let's begin. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut 8 inches of our 16 gauge copper wire. So I have already pre-cut all of these. I'm just showing you that this is 8 inches. So I've got 8 inches here of the 16 gauge. We want 5 pieces of the 2.5 inch square 20 gauge copper wire. Boom! Voila, there's more. For our chain to hold on to the keychain, we're going to want 5 pieces of 1 inch square wire. This is not a necessity if you're doing a necklace or earrings. Then we're going to have 1 extra piece that is like roughly 1.25 inches, just so it can go on a keychain. And then we're going to want 25 inches of the 26 gauge wire. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to measure that in front of you with a ruler, but it is 25 inches of this. I will probably only use about 18 inches, but more is better in this case. I'm going to start by taking this 8 inch 16 gauge copper wire and use my little Renaissance wax. You can use whatever you want. I wouldn't recommend anything that kind of squeezes because it can distort the shape of the circle. But we're going to wrap our 16 gauge wire around that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a little L so that it sticks up like that. And then I'm going to take that off. And then what we're going to do with that L, I'm going to take my needle nose, they're not needle nose, my round nose pliers. I guess you could call them needle nose, but we're not doctors. And we're just going to pinch this right here and push this just a little bit forward because this is going to be our bail. And we're going to take it, I'm taking it all the way to the base of my round nose pliers, and I'm just going to wrap this around like so. And I'm going to wrap it as far as I can without interrupting everything else I've got going on. And I'm just going to move my pliers. We'll go ahead and swap it out. And I'm going to grip it at the base because what we want here is a circle. It It doesn't have to be the most perfect circle, but you know, that is entirely up to you and how you want it to look. This probably won't turn out like a perfect circle because I'm trying desperately to stay in frame. And then I'm just gonna bend it back, securing this wire with my pliers. I'm gonna bend it back so that it's straight down like that. So now we have this. Then what I'm going to do is push these together. Basically what's going to happen is we're going to take this wire and we're going to wrap it around. So what I want to do is just cut where the base of this wire is so that I have this little shape. And then I'm going to take my little Renaissance wax or whatever mandrel you decide to use. And I'm going to pull this as tight as I possibly can and wrap it around this bail that I have made. Just as many times as I can, as tight as possible. And then you get to a point where you're pretty much just going to cut right into your hand if you push any further. At this point, you could probably just take it off and leave it like that. And then you're going to take your bent nose pliers and we're just going to bend it as far around as we can. Squeezing it in there all the way around. We're just going to squish it to make this nice tight little coil around the top. And this is our base. Ba-ba! Then what we're going to do is make some noise. And I might mute this, but I might not. Or I'll turn the volume down, but it's really, really fun. If you listen closely, my dog knows the sound of this hammer, and he will start tap dancing his way in here, and he's going to get very mad at me. But what we're going to do is we're going to hammer all around here to make a really nice flat base for our wrap. So let us begin. Hi Sushi. I usually start on one side and work my way around. I don't think it really makes much of a difference, but that's what I do. It gives me this nice, even, flat look all the way through. Whatever works for you. This is what I do. Side note. Do you see his little nose? Anyway, back to what we're doing. Okay, so. So it just kind of gives it a little bit more texture. It's not necessary. I really enjoy that hammered kind of flat look. The end result, it makes it look like you put more effort into it because you did. So we're done hammering now. I'm done, Sushi. You're gonna be okay. Pet, pet. Okay. So now we can set that to the side. And the next thing we're gonna do is the most fun part. So we're gonna take our 5 pieces of 2.5 inch square wire, and we're going to take our 25 inch 26 gauge wire. I'm just gonna straighten that out so that it's not as irritating. And then I'm gonna grab just one of the wires to start. And I've laid this wire over top of our base wire, which is what I will refer to it as now. The square wire is our base wire, and this is our little skinny wire. So I'm just going to do one rotation. so that it looks like this. And I'm going to pull that straight back so that I have two pieces. And then I'm going to take another one and make sure that I line up the flat side of the square wire to the flat side of the square wire. We don't want half of it, you know, pointed up. We want it all facing the same direction. And we're going to go underneath the back of that and wrap over and just around that second wire. And we're going to do it one more time. And then we're going to do the same thing again and add on our third wire. And just keep following that same pattern with our fourth wire. Trying to keep these all even. They will move around. The straighter your base wire, the better this is going to work out. And then last but not least, our fifth and final wire. And this will build the base of our bar staff. And it has been a long time since I have been in music, so you guys, please forgive me and comment and correct me if I get some of these terms wrong from music, because it has been a long time and music was not my forte. Side note, I used to play trumpet and baritone and mellophone and French horn, so cheers for me. I was terrible at every single one of them. Okay, so now that we have all of our 5 wires wrapped up, what we're going to do is go ahead and wrap all 5 of them. Careful not to squish them together. You're really just kind of doing this for detail here. And we're going to wrap around the back. It's going to want to, if I can get, hold on. It's going to want to slide this way. Just put it as close to this first wrap as possible and bend it. And then be very gentle when you wrap, because we're going to go for a second time around to where we've got 2 and see how it's trying to migrate to the right. Once we have it like that, we're going to take that wire and we're going to wrap 2 times around the top wire. 1, 2, and we're going to continue that weave that we did for the first section. So we're just 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, all the way down to the bottom. And the more you wrap these, the easier it will get. I say that as I struggle. Our third wire. And our fourth wire. And our fifth. Okay, so now that we have this, at this point, this is when I take my nylon tipped wires and I basically just kind of squoosh, because that's the technical term. I squoosh them together and then I will flatten them. So it makes this really pretty design at the beginning of our bar staff. And now is the most exciting fun part. The treble clef. Okay. So a treble clef always starts on G, and for those of you who do not know anything about music, that's okay. I was in band for 7 years and I still struggle. Of course, that was a long time ago. So what we have here is it's coming out under the G, which is your second wire up. That's going to be your G line. Not that that's 100% necessary here, but that's what it is. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our wire and we're going to pull it up over that second wire. And we're going to do this somewhat loosely, just somewhat. And this is what our back looks like. And we're going to take that and this is the hard part, guys. You're going to wrap around. We're basically making our treble clef. So what I do is I start this little C circle thing and I'm going to squeeze it with my thumb to keep that in place, and I'm taking my wire and I'm just going to wrap it ever so gently around itself to make this curly Q. And this is the bottom of our treble clef. And then what we're going to do is you're going to want to use your thumb to squeeze that wire down because we want that to stay in place. And we're going to pull straight up. So we're like this. I'm going to pull straight up, keeping that wire as straight as possible. And then we're going to take our round nose pliers and just grab just above the bar staff at the very, very tip of our wires. And we're going to take this wire and we're going to pull it right back around. And as you can see, or if you can see, what that does is creates this treble clef. And you need to be very gentle with this while it is in this state. We will secure it, but right now it is fragile like a tiny little baby. All right, then we're going to do the same thing at the bottom. We're just going to grab by the very, very tip of our pliers. And we're going to make the bottom of our treble clef. And what we're going to do that is pull it to the left, around the tip of that nose, like that. And what I like to do to secure that is I pinch it with my fingers and I just put it right between those bottom two wires. So it's looks like this. So I say that's the hard part, but once you get it down, it's actually pretty simple. It just takes a little bit of practice. Now what I'm gonna do, since our back looks like this, is I'm gonna take this wire all the way up to the top and we're gonna secure the top of our treble clef. If you're doing this in earrings or maybe something that's, I don't even want to say earrings, something that's like going to hang from a rear view mirror of a car, you don't necessarily have to secure the top of your treble clef. However, if you're making something that's going to be worn or carried around like a keychain, you're definitely going to want to secure the top of this because you don't want your treble clef getting all wonky after being worn. And you know, durability is really, really important when it comes to jewelry making. So if I can wear it, anyone can, because I'm very rough with jewelry. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bend this over the top wire just to get that perfect, that bend in there, which will save me a lot of hassle when I do this next step. So I'm going to take my wire, I'm going to go all the way to the end of my wire, and I'm going to thread it through the top of that treble clef. And you have to be super careful here because you do not want it to kink. But you're just going to pull it all the way through and then hopefully it will not give you too much trouble. It'll save that little bend like a computer program. It's going to save that first bend that you did over that top wire. And this will secure your treble clef. I'm going to take that, try and pull it a little taut so that the back is as flat and straight as possible. And I'm just going to hook that around the top of the treble clef and take it right back to the back of our piece. So here's your front, and then here is your back. Okay. So now what we're going to focus on is a couple notes. If you want to get crazy, you can. Now, if you want to put a time signature on there, it is 100% possible. We are not going to do that today. If you want to put the key, also 100% possible. Sharps can be done, flats can be done. It is a little bit tedious, but they are all possible, and you kind of just have to figure your way through it. There are so many possibilities with this wrap, but for today we're just going to do your bar, your treble clef, and then 4 notes, and then another bar, and then we're going to move forward from there. But just keep in mind that this is an extremely versatile weave, if you want to call it that. I guess it's a weave. It's extremely versatile. You can do so many different things with it. You can, you know, take these wires and make them so much longer. It does work on round wire as well. I have tried that. It's a little more difficult to work with round wire as your base wire, but it is possible. You can continue on these wires as long as you want and wrap around a cabochon. There's just so many possibilities. But like I said, we're doing bar staff, treble clef, note, 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 bar staff, and then we're going to put it on a keychain. So we will start. I highly recommend when you begin doing a wrap like this to stick to your lines when you're doing notes. You can do the notes that are between the lines, your F, A, C, E. Those are possible. I might go back and do another tutorial on those, but for today, we're going to stick to the lines. So we're going to start out with a G. So what I'm going to do, and that's this second to bottom wire down here, base wire, is we're going to take our back wire and we're going to pull it around just above that bottom wire, in between the bottom 2 wires. And we're just going to wrap it around just that second wire up twice. Do not pull too tight because it can mess up everything you've already done. If you pull too hard, you can mess up the top of your treble clef. You can accidentally squeeze it and just squish your whole treble clef. Be careful in this spot. Once you get your first note, it's a little bit easier. So we're going to wrap around that second base wire twice. And then I'm just going to use my nails right here to kind of protect from what I was just warning you about, to squish these two together to make a nice little two little wraps right there. Then we're going to pull from the back to the front, so we have the wire out to the front, and we're going to go up 3 wires, including the base wire that we're currently on. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, so we're going between the top and the second one down now, and we're just going to try and make that as straight as possible so that we have that. And if you want, right here, you are welcome to do this. I'll take my nylon pliers and we'll just kind of squish everything together, kind of make it a little more flush. All right, and then we'll go down and we will do the F, not the F. My brain's not working. We're gonna wrap a note on the very bottom wire here. So what we're gonna do is just gonna bring it all the way down the back, down to our bottom wire, and we're gonna do 2 in single wraps around that bottom wire, like so. And then bring up 3 wires to make our little tail. Again, just kind of squishing everything together to make it all perfect. So now we have 2 notes, and let's do a D. So we're gonna go up this time. Losing focus. All right, we're gonna go up between our top 2 wires, and we're going to do, so when we have the tail, and this is in music in general, and again, it's been a long time since I've done music. So your notes with your tails going up, your note, the circle part of your note is going to be on your left side, and the tail is going to be on the right side going up. And then when you have a note with the tail going down, your tail is going to be on the left side, and then the circle part of your note is going to be on the right side. So we're going to do a D right now. So we're going to do the line first. We're going to go over 3 wires. We're going to go over 3. And then we're going to go up to that top line again, or I guess the second to top. And then we're just going to wrap twice to make the circle part of our note, or the implication of the circle part of our note. And then we'll go ahead and do an F. So we're going to go up to the top again. And we're going to go down 3. We're going to go down 3 base wires. Like that. Get in focus. Down 3 base wires, and then bring it up to the top and wrap around twice. Sorry, I keep going out of frame, you guys. We're going to go around twice to finish the implication of that note. And then at this point we have a 4/4 bar. We have our bar, we have our treble clef, and we now have 4 notes. Now what I'm going to do is repeat this same pattern that we have to the far left here again. When we do this, you're going to make sure you want to give yourself a little bit of space between this weave and the weave that's going to go down the edge. So just kind of, I don't want to say loosely because you don't want a lot of slack, but just leave yourself a little bit of slack, not a lot because you don't want it hanging off the back. But you're going to space out your next weave. Oh, and you're going to have to go over the top. So just like that, we're going to start our 2 by 2 weave for our final bar staff. So we have 2, and then I'm just going to follow that all the way down to the bottom and recreate what we did at the beginning. Yes, that's what I need to do. Okay. 1, 2, my wires are literally getting crossed. And the 3rd down. 1. And what this will do is secure everything that you have in the middle. So all of your notes and everything are going to be nice and secured in the middle so that they're not going to go anywhere. And we'll do our 4th wire. I can get it in there. This can get a bit tedious. Oh, I'm at 5% on my battery. Getting crazy, guys. And the final base wire. And at this point, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and squeeze these together. Keep your thumb in there. I know I'm getting off focus. We're just going to squeeze these together. You're going to keep your thumb right here to keep that where you want it. And we're just going to squeeze them together so we have this nice pretty line that's even with our first one. We're going to wrap around twice. Remember that we want it to go as far left as we can so it sits nice and flush up next against that first weave that we did. And then we're going to go and do that 2x2 weave all the way down to the bottom. And now I'm rushing because my battery on my phone is about to die. All right, so, and we're gonna squish to make it all pretty. We're gonna use our thumb and our nylon cutter, squish that all together like so, and voila, we have our music wire weave. All right, and then we're gonna flip it over. We're just going to take our flush cutters and cut this as close as possible. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. We're just going to cut that first wire as close as possible. And then we're going to take our chain nose pliers and just kind of squeeze that in there as best we can so that it doesn't catch on the skin or your purse or whatever. Just trying to make that as flat as possible. And voila! Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to attach this to this. And in order to do that, we're going to want these wires to be as flat and straight as possible. When we do this, we don't need very much going off of the edge, just enough to wrap around and kind of create that lip. Now, since I have shorter wires on this side than this side, I'm going to start on this side just so that if I pull too much, I know I still have room on this side. So I'm going to flip it over and try and keep it as centered as possible the whole time. And I'm just going to bend these wires over. Keeping in mind that we want it to be centered. And you're gonna want to do all of these at once. Don't do that. It feels like that would be simpler, but it is totally not. So we're gonna bend all of these over. And we're going to take our nylon pliers, making sure that it's centered. We're going to squeeze those down. Ideally, you're going to want these to be relatively short. So I'm just cutting off these extra little bits on the back here. Just so it curls in nice and creates a nice little face on the back. Now that I've done that, I'm just going to squeeze them again. And that creates this nice little front. Now we're going to go to the other side. Actually, I'm going to do some adjustments on the back here of what I just did, because I really want these to line up straight with the wire with the front wire. So you see I have this one piece that's much longer than the rest. I'm going to go in and pull it up a little bit so I have a little more leverage. And I'm just going to cut that off because I want these wires to be as even as possible. I'm just going to go in there and really squeeze them nice and tight so they're snug and they hold. So since I already know that I'm not going to need all of this length on the other side, I'm just going to go in here and cut it down to about a little over 1/4 of an inch. Cut all of those down. So I'm going to take these and one by one, I'm going to wrap them around the back, making sure that I keep them in line with the wire on the front because it'll show through on the front and we don't want that. We really want to keep those lines as straight as possible. But one by one, just going to go through here and bend them over. And then our last one. Just gonna bend that over. Like that. So now I have all of these bent over to where I need them. There you have it. Take 1-inch pieces of the square wire, and what we're gonna do is take those, take our round nose pliers, go dead center on those round nose pliers, like right there, and we're gonna roll it over, and we're gonna make a nice little S-link, starting with one side, halfway, going to the other side. So make these nice little S links, and then I'm gonna take those links, make sure they're flat, and gonna open one, hook it to the other one, open my next one, hook it here. And because my power is questionable right now because the wind is really, really blowing out there and I don't want to lose the rest of this video, we're going to do 5 of those links all the same, and then you just hook it to your, generic keychain link ring, and voila, you have a keychain. Or put it on a necklace. Make 2 of them, hook them on earrings. They make great earrings. Or you can hang them from your rear view mirror and it looks super cute hanging from a rear view. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you like this video and you want to see more like it, please subscribe and like this video. And then if you have any comments or questions or suggestions, please comment below. And then you can also visit me on Instagram at southern.unique, or you can visit me on Facebook at Southern Unique Jewelry Co. That's a C-O at the end. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye!